Oshkosh Media is government programming on GovTV, community programming on Life TV, and community radio on Oshkosh FM 101.9.
Welcome to the City Manager's Report, a look at city updates and a preview of the next Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda.
And thanks for joining us for the City Manager's Report. I'm Andy Radig, along with your City Manager for the City of Oshkosh, Mark Roloff. Mark, thanks for being here.
Great to be here, Andy.
Well, we've got quite a bit coming up on the show today. In the first half, we'll be talking about some municipal news updates. And in the second half, we'll talk about some agenda highlights from the upcoming Tuesday, June 8th Common Council meeting. So, Mark, we've got a lot of things coming up here that we're talking about, and the first one is a new service that the city is launching. It's an online water usage monitoring system called Aquahawk.
Yeah, Aquahawk is something that we looked at a few years ago, and it took a little time to get it online, but the whole idea is it monitors your water usage and provides our water users with an estimate of their bills anytime during the billing cycle, and that allows our customers to receive leak alerts or any type of alerts. And you can get these notifications through an email, text, or telephone.
Okay.
I know a friend in another community where they had this. He was on vacation, had a kid watering the lawn. The kid forgot to turn off the hose, and the hose popped, the gun popped off, and it just started leaking water. The city called him on his telephone and said, there's a problem with your water.
Okay.
So he was able to take care of it immediately. But Aquahawk looks for those types of things. So there's threshold alerts that you get to put in yourself to specify an amount of gallons or dollar amount that you are used to that you know you shouldn't exceed. So this little chart probably doesn't even do the justice to it, but it can show spikes in your usage. And
there's a spike right there on that graph.
Yeah, and so it gives you that idea, and it can be used remotely, like I said, so your water usage can be monitored while you're on vacation. A really great service. And you can just check out the hot topics on the city's website and on our utility billing page and register for it. It's really easy to register. So if you want to look that up, we're certainly happy to let people learn more about Aquahawk and how it can help you save water and money in the process.
Right. And I signed up for it myself, and I did see on the graph where I had a leak in the house, and I could see at the point where it got fixed and big improvements. So it's very helpful, and also you can watch an estimate of what your water bill might be. So very useful information. Visit the city's website, you can get that information, and what we're seeing right there is how to sign up. So very useful service. And
signing up's free. There's no
it's
cost
free
to do this at all. So absolutely do it, because it's a way for you to save money, and that's good for everybody.
Right, absolutely. So the Salvation Army broke ground on a new building on June 3rd. And what can you tell us about this, Mark?
Well, you know, the Salvation Army is actually one of City Hall's neighbors, so we're happy to have our neighbors in our neighborhood doing some stuff. But this is their groundbreaking today. They've got a project that was on hold because of COVID, but they're adding 8,400 square feet to their existing building. New chapel, a new multi-purpose room and classrooms. And then they're remodeling about 11,800 feet of their existing building. So here are a few of the renderings of what it's going to look at. But they do some wonderful things out in the community to serve underprivileged people, and they do a wonderful job. And they're in the right place, right part of the city to be providing these services. And we're so happy that they're going to be able to expand and offer these types of services to our less fortunate residents. And the building's really going to look nice and a great addition to our downtown.
Sure. And that groundbreaking was recorded by Oshkosh Media, so you can look for that on our Oshkosh Media YouTube page or channel, and also look for some information posted online on Facebook. So more info to come. Okay, also another topic that's been talked about quite a bit recently, Mark, is the American Rescue Plan Act funding. And I understand that there's nearly $20 million worth of funding that's coming toward the city. What can you tell us about this, where that stands?
Sure. Well, you said the words correctly, American Rescue Plan Act. but I'm going to keep saying ARPA because that's
Okay.
for short. So people are going to have to get used to the fact that we're going to probably use ARPA, but always correct me to make sure we clarify what that is. But this is the federal program for COVID relief for cities throughout the country. Our allocation, as you said, is about $20.5 million. We received our first installment, the first half of that installment, so about $10.25 million was received on May 20th, and probably by next May of 22, we'll receive the remaining funds. But the idea is to begin spending it and have it basically spent through December 31 of 2024. So there's a lot of rules that the federal government has put out on the use of these ARPA funds. And so we know that we've received a lot of suggestions and ideas, but we want to try to formalize it a little bit for people who are making a formal request. My organization would like funds for this purpose. We're going to put them through a process similar to what we do with some of our other federal programs, our Community Development Block Grant Program. So we're working on some forms that actually we're going to be releasing the week of the council meeting upcoming on June 8th. So you'll be seeing that, and we'll be presenting those to council at the upcoming meeting. But then there's also a suggestion form, because there are a lot of people that they have an idea, they want to make sure that they're heard, and so we're just going to have kind of like a suggestion box, but the idea is tell us what you think, why you think it'd be important, who would benefit it from it. Do you have any idea what you think this would cost? I mean, it might be a program or some type of project that we could do. So we're going to solicit ideas from the residents as well as ask organizations to make formal requests. Meanwhile, we're asking all of our boards and commissions to chime in and give us suggestions on what they might do. And of course, our departments, particularly on the capital side, are going to be making suggestions on things they would like done. And we already have a capital improvement program process that we follow, so they're going to be pretty much following that. But for the next month, I think we need to take some ideas in and then sort those out and then get back to council and say, here's what we're seeing from the public, and then make some recommendations to council and get some ideas on where they would like to go as well.
Okay, so really the public and community groups can offer some suggestions and offer some ideas, and that input is taken through July 2nd?
Yeah, we want to get it through just before the July 4th weekend, so that when we get back from July 4th weekend, we can take a look at these ideas and say, okay, are there any common themes? If more than one person suggests it, there might be something to that one that we should look at.
Okay.
And I know, and there's already groups that are organized on a national level. Cities, you should use it for this project or that project. And I certainly respect that, but I want to hear original ideas from our own residents. I think that that's more powerful. It's more relevant to what's going on in Oshkosh, and I think we have an obligation to do that.
Okay, very good. Keep an eye also on the Oshkosh Media Facebook page for additional information and to look for your opportunity to chime in. Okay, also coming up, the Pollock Community Water Park is opening on June 12th.
Yeah, the summer is upon us and the weather is hot now, and so we are getting ready for the summer. These are obviously dated photo or dated video from 2019, but the facility is going to have some modified hours and capacity limits to keep staff and patrons safe.
Sure.
The season passes, for if you're interested, are available for purchase through the city's website, our online services, at the Parks Department over there at 805 Witzel, or at the pool during operating hours. Those are still things that are going on. And with COVID in mind, capacity is going to be limited to a maximum of 600 patrons at any given time, which is about 50% of our total capacity. And those limits are going to, they may change as COVID conditions change. Those are actually doing very well right now. So we're hoping that they still improve.
Sure.
But the other part is also going to be based on staffing. It's a challenge to find good people right now. So if we have staffing challenges, we may have to close an area of the park, even though it's not a COVID-related issue. It's more of a staffing issue. So we're going to ask people to be patient that if we close, say, the Lazy River, it's not because there's a health and safety concern. It's just we don't have staffing. And that does have a safety aspect to it. We just can't leave the lazy river open and not monitor it.
Right, right. And so on that note, actually, there are applications available for folks if they are interested in applying for some of these open positions.
Yeah, pool maintenance workers, as well as lifeguards and attendants. So we certainly want to make sure that qualified young people are out there. If they're still looking for a summer job, a way to get out in the sun, this is a good way to do it. And you can go out onto our website or call 236-5080, which is the Parks Department, and they'll give you further information.
Okay. And that pool season is set to run through August 18th, and it's probably that short because of the staffing concerns.
It is, because we got a lot of kids that are going back to school. You know, the lifeguards and the attendants, they're pretty active kids already, and so they're in sports activities and other activities, school-related. So they get called back, and it's time to get back into the fall, and they can't work as much as they used to. So we're closing it early. So we hope people understand that it's about staffing. It's not about wanting to serve the public. That's certainly a big deal for us.
Sure, sure. Okay. Well, and if folks are maybe not interested in being at a pool this summer, they have an opportunity to go to the Oshkosh Public Library this summer and take part in their summer reading challenge.
Things are slowly opening up over at the public library, and the reading challenge is still on. It's not going to be as on site as it has been, even though they're going to be taking the public in. But adults are encouraged to write book reviews, discover authors, and explore the library programs. Earn free books all summer and get entered into one of our grand prize drawings for gift certificates. Youth and teens, they can earn chances for prizes, and a grand prize for them is a $100 Visa gift card. I wish I could sign up. And then the summer reading challenge details are at the library's website, oshkoshpubliclibrary.org, and you learn more about what the library has to offer. A lot of the programs are coming back. Maybe a little more in a virtual world, but we want people to be able to use all the resources available at the Oshkosh Public Library. And looking forward to having people back, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Happy to have programs like this coming back online. And about a block away from the Oshkosh Public Library is the Oshkosh Farmers Market, which is coming back on June 5th downtown Oshkosh.
Back and better than ever, starting June 5th exactly. The market features about 130 vendors per week with live music and themed events, and you can check out all the locally grown stuff, and it changes throughout the summer because different parts of the season produce different produce. And there's also, it's locally grown raisins along with handmade items. And of course, the egg rolls and the sweet corn and all that fun stuff that goes along with it. So check it out. It's on the 400 and 500 blocks of North Main Street. So basically, from Washington, Algoma, all the way up to Parkway. So we certainly want people to come and enjoy it. The hours are 8 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. every Saturday through October 30th. So we're looking forward to having people come out, meet your neighbors, reacquaint yourself with a lot of people you probably haven't seen in a long time. And, it's just fun, do a little curbside dining, go to some of the shops, and get some produce. It's a lot of fun.
Sure.
You'll see me on Saturday, that's for sure.
And it's one of the best farmers markets in the country. I know that they have recognition for that.
Yeah, I think it was listed as the best a couple of years ago. We were the best in the state. Come back and see if we can reclaim that crown.
Absolutely. Well, we'll look forward to that. And look for more information also on Oshkosh Media about the Oshkosh Farmers Market. Okay, Mark, then also we have some surveys that are out there for folks on Polco, which they can access also through the city's website. A couple different surveys. We always welcome citizen input.
Oh, absolutely. Our annual Oshkosh Citizen Survey is still underway, just a few more weeks, so get that in there. Our housing study and needs assessment is another one that we're doing. And then, I think we're going to be looking for input on the Sawdust District proposals and even maybe the use of the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA funds, different ideas. So be on the lookout because we're always updating our Polco site. So look for some of those ideas and please give us your input on those. And if you haven't already registered, register on the website for our POCO survey, and then you'll get noticed when we have other surveys coming up. This is all about citizen engagement. We want you to participate.
Okay. And we also want to remind folks that they can always find additional information about COVID-19 vaccines. And the Winnebago County Health Department is having their walk-in Wednesday every Wednesday through June.
Yeah, over at Sunnyview Expo Center, we're still going to have those, or the county's still going to have those. So absolutely take advantage of that. The county website has a special, it's called www.wcvaccine.org. That's where they have all the information or the links to other information about what other groups are doing vaccines. So we really want to push that. I know that the president has a goal of getting 70% of us fully vaccinated by July 1. That's going to be a challenge. So let's see if we can get it done. That's going to get us back to normal much sooner and better. So let's hopefully get people to do that.
Right, right. And council meetings are back in person, but the public may participate remotely in the upcoming meeting.
Yeah, and you can get online about how to speak and those types of things. And our city services are still available online. They're going to remain online. And I forgot to mention, as far as vaccines go, Go Transit is still providing transportation free to get your vaccine done. So be on the lookout for that as well.
Okay. Well, I think that wraps up the first half of our show. Please stay with us, and we'll be right back with some agenda highlights from the upcoming Tuesday, June 8th Common Council meeting. So you're watching the City Manager's Report. Stay with us.
My name is Tori Heidemann. I'm the crime analyst at the Oshkosh Police Department. I'm here today to talk to you about our new app called Relay. You can download Relay free on the App Store on your cell phone. And what you can do is report any non-emergency situation or tip to us via the app. You can either just report it as something that you would type, or you can take a picture as well and send that over. It'll go right to our officers' MDC screens, and you'll be in touch with an officer from the Oshkosh Police Department directly, and they will let you know if they follow up on the tip, if they start a call in our computer systems, and where that has went from your tip.
And welcome back to the City Manager's Report. I'm Andy Radig, along with City Manager Mark Roloff. So let's take a look at some agenda highlights from the upcoming June 8th Common Council meeting. Mark, one of the items at the head of the meeting here is some recognition for Oshkosh Media.
Yeah, well, a little self-promotion there, but I think it's well-deserved. Yourself and Jake, Tim, Scott Williams, you guys do some great work, and you were recognized by your peers at the Best of the Midwest Festival Awards recently. And this is an annual competition with media stations from around the Midwest. And we got 2 awards of achievement and excellence. One was actually a Best in Show for a virtual meeting coverage. So this was for everybody was learning how to do virtual meeting coverage. And so there it was on August 25th. And the only thing I'm upset about is I missed that meeting because that was my anniversary. So I missed that meeting. So maybe that's why you guys got Best in Show, because I wasn't there. The other one was the public service announcement that we did during COVID for our absentee voting. And that really was so good. And we did, our folks, you guys chipped in to make sure that we let people know how easy it was to do absentee voting. And your peers said this was really good. Gave us an award of excellence. Plus, we hauled a bunch of other awards away because we do so many other shows. CMR got 1, but it was only silver. So, what can I say? You got a gold when I wasn't around. So good for you guys. There were 194 entries from producers in 9 states. I think that says a lot about what you guys do in Oshkosh Media. You do a lot to educate the public, and you're recognized by your peers for it. So I want to brag about it and tell the council all about it.
Well, thanks for the kind words, and we're always very proud when we can haul this hardware back home to Oshkosh, and kind of show other people what we do here.
Yeah, well deserved, Andy.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Later on the agenda, we have some license hearings. What is this all about?
Well, these are some licenses that were applied for the previous year, never even picked up. So they've been inactive for a year. So our code requires that there's a hearing, at which point the licensees can explain what the delay's been, and the council can determine whether or not the licenses should be non-renewed.
Okay.
So, and that's just a process we have to follow, and it's a legal process that has to be followed, so we have some very strict procedures we need to follow.
Okay, and so what happens to these licenses if they are non-renewed?
If they aren't renewed, what we're doing with any unused licenses is we're creating a pool of them so that if this business can make use of it later on down the road, that they find somebody who wants to use their business, or any other business in town says say a restaurant wants to add a liquor license, we'll give them the capability of doing that. And the idea is to give them some flexibility. So we're going to keep these licenses. They're not going to disappear or go away. They're going to be available for anybody to use. So that's what we're hoping for.
Okay, all right, a little bit down the road for those potentially. Okay, later in the agenda, we have some items relating to capital improvement borrowing, I understand. And what is this borrowing for?
This is our annual borrowing that we do to fund our capital improvement programs. So there's actually 3 different bid awards, competitive bid awards. We actually open up the morning of the council meeting and present it to council later that evening.
Okay.
The first one are general obligation bonds. Those are for projects of a longer duration than 10 years. In fact, actually more than 20 years. And the idea is that we repay those through our taxing authority. Notes are things for 10 years or more, but not quite 20. Usually vehicles of, big snowplow trucks, things like that,
Sure.
or projects that don't have as much a life to them as like a street project or something. And that's the borrowing part that we do for it. And then lastly, our stormwater utility bonds to fund our stormwater project. Those are the 3 projects that we do, and again, we get very good rates. We got below 2% last year, so I think we're hoping to get some very competitive, inexpensive borrowing rates for us.
Okay, very timely. Also, is there any other borrowing that's coming up down the road?
Yeah, we will have our water utility and our sanitary sewer utility borrowings at probably the June 22nd meeting.
Okay, all right, very good. All right, and then let's see, there are some more items on the agenda. Later on, we're also talking about a joint workshop with several entities coming up. It'll be quite a group there. It looks like it's a virtual meeting.
It's a virtual meeting because of sheer volume, but the topic is our subdivision code. It's chapter 30 of our code.
Okay.
Updates to that code, and then what we can do to perhaps make new housing more affordable. We did a little survey of how we compare to other communities and what things may be out there that impact the cost of housing. Housing is very expensive these days, so we got to make sure for new housing what we can do to update our code, stay current with trends from some of our other communities, and basically give ourselves the ability to have some residential growth coming up. We're going to include the Sustainability Board, the Parks Board, because there are issues about park impact fees and park dedication, and those are relevant issues with our subdivision code.
Okay. And then we also have an agenda item talking about the continued transition back to in-person meetings. And so I understand this affects boards and commissions and other things.
Yeah, the council is back to in-person meetings. They've given the boards and commissions the option of being all virtual or all in-person. And I think the question is do we return to full in-person meetings? Do we need to do all the social distancing we're doing because our meetings are a little more spread out? So giving the council the opportunity to discuss that, and if they want to give some directions to the boards and commissions on how they want to conduct the meetings, get some input from them and then formalize it.
Okay. Well, we'll keep an eye on that and see what the direction is with that. Then also later in the agenda, one of the last things is follow-up to the Clearwell project, and I know that this relates to the water filtration plant that is down by Lake Winnebago by Menominee Park.
Right. We had our workshop on May 25th with the council, and even though this project has been in the works since 2007, and we've had public meetings as long as 4 years ago, there's still a lot of people that are unaware of it. So these are just some of the slides that came back, but the biggest issue has to do with the Clearwells themselves. And this gives you an idea of what our campus looks like right there, just south of Menominee Park. And you'll see the big blue box in the lower right-hand corner. That's where our Clearwells are currently buried. And back in 2007, the Department of Natural Resources said you can no longer have your Clearwells below the groundwater level. They need to be, the lake level, they need to be raised. So we've been analyzing this for years, and the Public Service Commission, a second state agency, got involved with this.
Okay.
And the Public Service Commission looks at it from a pure ratepayer standpoint. What's in the best interest of the ratepayers? The same way they look at our electric bills and our gas bills.
Right.
They take a look at these things, and they said, you know, we're not so sure that we are buying into everything that's being done there. Now, one of the points of confusion is that has something to do with the size of the tanks, and it really doesn't have anything to do with the size of the tanks. It has to do with how big the pumps are going to be.
Okay.
Because through water conservation, which is a good thing, and then businesses that have previously been water producers that are no longer here, our demand isn't as our maximum demand isn't as big as it used to be. So how big are those pumps supposed to be? The Clearwell is still about a 2 million gallon facility, and there's actually a series of 3 older tanks that are in that area that were identified. They go back to over 100 years old, and the youngest one is 50 years old, still fairly old. They've all served their useful life, but now they're not code compliant. They got to get raised up. And obviously that's going to have impact, because once you have to raise them up, that's going to be very obtrusive to people. So a few years ago, we showed some options to the residents out there, and they gave us some input. And so these are 2 conceptual ideas that we have.
Okay.
These are far from final, but you can see there is one big building in the middle. That's for our pump house. Now that might change a little bit, but not appreciably. And the tanks themselves, it's still a 2 million gallon facility. So there's probably 1 million gallons in each of those, but there's no easy way to hide 2 million gallons worth of storage. So
Right.
it's a very challenging thing. And I know people are concerned about aesthetics. And my comment to them is, you're right. It's not the prettiest thing in the world. So we have to do our very best to make sure that we consider aesthetics. But we also have health and safety, and the Department of Natural Resources could put us under a court order to absolutely get it done immediately, and then we're going to scramble around and it'll cost us even more. We're trying to balance the cost, the health and safety considerations that are there, and the aesthetics. Now, health and safety is our primary job, and I can assure everybody that our tanks right now, the below ground tanks, are fine in their current condition. So we can go through the process with the Public Service Commission, and they're still not done with us yet.
Okay.
So, but eventually the DNR is going to get a little impatient waiting. So I got one state agency on health and safety, another one on cost, and I got to balance that with residents who want aesthetics. All 3 are valid, but we got to balance those things out.
And quickly, next steps?
Next steps are going to be that we're going to the Public Service Commission for them to look at some of these considerations of cost for the various pump size options and some of our other things we're adding to this project because it's taken so long.
Okay.
And then in the meantime, we're going to be educating the public about the locations.
Okay. All right. Well, a lot of moving pieces with that project, and we'll keep an eye on it, and we'll keep the folks updated. So, Mark, a lot of information today. Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure, Andy. Thanks.
Okay, again, that Common Council meeting is this Tuesday, June 8th at 6 p.m. in person at the City Hall with the option for remote participation by the public. And again, you can watch that meeting live on GovTV, which is Spectrum Channel 10, UVerse Channel 99, and streaming on YouTube and OshkoshMedia.org. Or you can listen to it on the radio, Oshkosh FM 101.9. Thanks again for joining us today, and join us again in 2 weeks for another City Manager's Report. We'll see you next time.